Well, hello there. Today's lesson is on dividing integers. We have the same learning intention as before, but this time instead of focusing on multiplying, we're going to be working on dividing integers. You should still have a pencil, a ruler, note 0, which is your unit 1 vocabulary, and notes 1, which is your integer rules. First, let's talk about a little bit of vocabulary. On your note 0, we've already discussed the definition and examples for integer and product. Today, we're going to focus on two other words. The first one is quotient. The quotient is the result of a division problem. So if the expression is 12 divided by 3, the quotient or answer to the division problem is 4. Pause the video and write down the definition and example of quotient. The second vocabulary word is a direction word, simplify. When we simplify, we make an expression less complex or more clear by combining like terms. Like I mentioned, simplify is a word used in directions most often. So in the expression -7 plus 9 minus 4, if we simplify that and combine the like terms or the constants, we have -2. Pause the video and write down the definition and example for simplify on your note 0. Now let's go to notes 1. We've already covered multiplying rules. We've done these first 4 examples with our multiplying rules, and we've already modeled multiplication using counters and our number line. So today we're going to talk about division. As you can see, the multiplication and division rules are the same, but we'll come back to the rules in a minute. Let's go down to the bottom of this page and demonstrate division using counters. If we take a look at problem C, we have -10 divided by 2. This is splitting -10 into 2 groups. So let's write that in the box. -10 split into 2 groups. So we're going to start by drawing 10 negative counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we want to split these counters into 2 equal groups. Well, how many counters would need to be in each group if the groups were equal? Did you think of 5? You'd be right. So if we split our group, now we have 2 groups. Here's group 1. Here's group 2. And how many counters do we have in each group? Well, we have 5. And what sign is on the counters? Negative. So -10 divided by 2 is -5. We can demonstrate that similarly on the number line. Take your ruler and draw a number line. Again, here we're dealing with negative, so we're going to put 0 on the right. And let's number out to -10. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10. So we still have to split -10 spaces into 2 groups. Well, where would we split that? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. If we split it here, on the other side of that split, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So again, we have 5 in each group. And since it's negative, we have -5 in each group. You can also see that that is where the group got split. So the quotient of -10 divided by 2 is -5. As we saw with the multiplication rules, a negative divided by a positive or a negative times a positive is a negative. So this time our quotient is -5. Let's try one more time. On D, we have 12 over -4. What does that over bar really mean? Did you think it meant divided by? You're right. Fractions are just division. So if we are dividing 12 by -4, we're splitting 12 into -4 groups. But can you split something into a negative amount of groups? Not really. That doesn't make sense. So let's talk about equivalency. So if we have 12 divided by -4, that's a positive divided by a negative. We know the result should be a negative. It's equivalent to the expression -12 divided by +4. Those would yield the same quotient. So to demonstrate this visually using counters and a number line, we want to use this setup because we can split -12 into 4 groups. Another equivalent ratio or equivalent fraction would have the negative sign in front, but in the middle of both values. Only one of the values is negative, but what this really means is -1 times the quotient of 12 divided by 4. So this negative sign is really a -1. Let's talk about one option that is not equivalent. So I have the equal sign with a slash through it. This ratio or fraction is not equivalent to the purple ones. Why not? Did you remember that a negative divided by a negative or a negative times a negative would be a positive? Yeah, so this would give you a positive quotient. Okay, so now that we know, we're going to use -12 divided by 4, which means -12 split into 4 groups. So let's go ahead and draw that out. -12 counters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have to split it into 4 equal groups. So how many should be in each group? Did you think 3? If you did, you'd be right. So we have 4 groups. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. How many are in each group? 3. What are the sign of the counters? Negative. So our quotient is -3. Let's try that one more time. Take your ruler and draw the number line. We're going to put 0 on the right again, and we have -12. Now, I might want to skip count on this one, but we know we're going to end up with 3 in each group. So should we skip count by 3s? Maybe, but let's just go by 1s. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10, -11, and -12. All right, so we have to split this once again into 4 groups. So how many should be in each group? Let's check. So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3 in this group. 1, 2, 3 in this group. 1, 2, 3 spaces in this group. And 1, 2, 3 spaces in this group. So we have our 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. How many are in each group? 3. And we're dealing with negative values. So again, we end up at -3. Also, the first split, as you can see, comes at -3. So the quotient of 12 and -4, or -12 and +4, is -3. Let's go back up and practice the rule now. First question, 8 divided by 16. Is the answer 2? Nope. Remember, that would be 16 divided by 8. Here, we want to simplify our ratio or our fraction by dividing. What's 8 divided by 8? 1. And 16 divided by 8? 2. And here we see a positive divided by a positive. So our quotient will be positive. Number 6 we just did. We have a positive divided by a negative. Well, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. That's right. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. So our quotient is -3. Number 7. The numerator is a negative. The denominator is a positive. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And 24 divided by 24 is 1. So our quotient is 1, or -1 rather, when we simplify. Number 8. What's the sign on the 15? It's negative. What's the sign on the 20? It's also negative. A negative divided by a negative we know should be a positive. That's right. What can we simplify this ratio by? What's the greatest common factor of 15 and 20? Did you think about 5? Great. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So our quotient is +3/4. You don't need that plus sign to indicate positivity, so you could just write the simplified quotient as 3/4. There's one more division rule I want to talk about, and that's dividing with and by 0. So in this middle portion right here, I want you to do a little bit of work with me. Dividing with and by 0. The question is, what is the difference between 0 divided by 2 versus 2 divided by 0? Well, let's see. Let's talk about vocabulary. The 0 is called the numerator, or another word for it, do you remember? The dividend. So in this case, the 2 would be called the denominator or the divisor. When we divide with long division, the divisor goes outside the box and the dividend goes inside the box. So if we were to do this with long division, 2 goes into 0 how many times? Or what times 2 gets you 0? Well, it's 0, isn't it? So we know that 0 divided by 2, its quotient is 0. However, if we take a look at the other expression, this time the 2 is the dividend and the 0 is the divisor. So when we set that up as a long division problem, we have the 0 outside and the 2 inside. So how many times does 0 go into 2? Or what times 0 gets you 2? Is it 1? No, 1 times 0 is 0. Is it 2? No, 2 times 0 is 0. Is it 0? No, 0 times 0 is 0. There's nothing. We can't put anything in the quotient that would make this statement work. And that we call an undefined quotient, because there is no answer to that. So therefore, 2 divided by 0 is not 0, but it is undefined. You might want to highlight this section because this will definitely be showing up on your first quiz and test. Have a great day.